10,000 years is a long time, long enough for stars to be born, long enough for empires to rise and fall, long enough for the galaxy to forget. The Corvan Empire ruled the known universe now. 12 elder species worked together under one flag, spreading across 1,000,000 worlds. They built great cities on distant planets. They traded goods across the stars. They believed themselves to be the masters of everything. But in their oldest books, in their most secret records, they kept one warning. It was written in red ink on black paper. It said only this: "The humans sleep. Do not wake them." Most young Corvans laughed at this warning. Humans were just stories now, scary tales that parents told their children to make them behave. "Be good," they would say, "or the humans will come." But nobody really believed it anymore. How could they? 10,000 years had passed. Earth was just a dead rock floating in empty space, surrounded by warning beacons that nobody remembered placing there. Una was 23 years old in human counting. She worked as a communications officer on the survey vessel Bright Horizon. Her job was simple. She listened to the stars. She recorded strange signals. She reported anything unusual to her commander. On the day that everything changed, Una was eating her lunch when her equipment started beeping. She put down her food and looked at the screen. A signal was coming from the Sol system. From Earth. She checked the frequency. Then she checked it again. Her hands started to shake. This frequency had not been used in 10,000 years. It was listed in the old records as Human Emergency Broadcast. Una ran to find Fleet Commander Tavik. She found him on the bridge, looking bored as always. Tavik was old and proud. He had fought many battles and won many medals. He did not like young officers bothering him with small problems. "Commander," Una said, "I found something. A signal from Earth." Tavik barely looked at her. "Log it and forget it," he said. "Earth is dead. Everyone knows this." "But sir, the frequency—" "I said log it." Tavik turned away from her. "Humans are extinct. They have been gone for 10,000 years. Whatever you heard was just old equipment breaking down. Nothing more." Una wanted to argue, but she knew better. She returned to her station and logged the signal, but she did not forget it. She could not forget it. Something was happening on Earth. She was sure of it. She was right. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, in a place that used to be called Sol, a man opened his eyes. His name was June. He was 31 years old, though the calendar would say he was over 10,000. He had been sleeping for a very long time. The cryogenic chamber hissed as it opened. Cold air rushed out. June fell forward onto the metal floor, coughing and shaking. His muscles were weak. His mind was foggy. He could barely remember his own name. Emergency lights blinked red above him. A computer voice spoke in Korean, his mother tongue. He had almost forgotten the sound of it. The voice said, "Wake protocol activated. Welcome back, sleeper. The time has come." June looked around. He was in a massive underground room. Thousands of chambers lined the walls, stretching far into the darkness. Each chamber held a sleeping human, his people, his species. They had been waiting here for 10,000 years. He found a terminal and pressed his hand against the screen. Files opened before him. Videos, documents, messages from his ancestors. He read them all with growing shock. The truth was simple and terrible. 10,000 years ago, humanity had fought a great war against the Corvan Empire. Humans were winning. Their technology was growing stronger every day. Their weapons could destroy planets. Their ships could cross the galaxy in hours. They were becoming something powerful, something dangerous. But some humans saw what they were becoming, and they were afraid. Not afraid of the Corvans, afraid of themselves. They looked at their own evolution and saw monsters. They saw a future where humans ruled through fear and violence, where they crushed all other life beneath their boots. So they made a choice. Instead of winning the war, they would sleep. They would hide themselves away and let time pass. They hoped that when they woke, things would be different. They hoped that they would be different. A message from a woman named Dr. Park appeared on the screen. She had been the leader of the Sleep Project. Her face was kind but tired. She said, "If you are watching this, then the time has come. The galaxy has forgotten us. Our enemies have grown comfortable. Now you must decide what humanity will be. Will we be the monsters they feared? Or will we be something better? The choice is yours, children of Earth. Choose wisely." June heard footsteps behind him. He turned and saw a woman walking toward him. She was tall and strong, with short black hair and sharp eyes. Her cryogenic suit was covered in frost. "I am Hana," she said. "I was a military engineer. What is happening?" Before June could answer, another voice came from the shadows. "The same thing that is happening to all of us." A thin man stepped into the light. He wore glasses and looked very tired. "I am Tay. I was a scientist, quantum mechanics. I assume we are the first to wake?" "We are," June said. "But not for long. The systems are activating. More will wake soon." Hana walked to a large window and looked out into the darkness. Something was moving out there, something massive. The ground was shaking. "What is that?" she asked. Tay checked his terminal and went pale. "The silent engines," he whispered. "They are real. I thought they were just legends." June joined Hana at the window. Far below them, deep in the earth, massive machines were coming to life. They were the size of cities. They were the reason humanity had almost won the war 10,000 years ago. They were weapons beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. The silent engines were waking up, and soon the whole galaxy would know. Somewhere in space, on the bright horizon, Yuna's equipment started screaming with alarms. The signal from Earth was growing stronger. It was not just one signal anymore. It was thousands, millions. The whole planet was lighting up like a star. Yuna stared at her screen with wide eyes. "Commander," she said softly, "I think you need to see this." Tavik walked over and looked at the readings. For the first time in his long life, his face showed fear. "Impossible," he whispered, but it was not impossible. It was happening. The humans were waking up, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. When Earth's silent engines stirred. Part 2. The news spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Every planet heard the same story. Earth was alive. The humans were waking up. On the Corvin homeworld, the High Council met in emergency session. 12 species sent their leaders to the Great Chamber. They sat in a circle around a glowing map of the galaxy. Earth blinked red at the center like an angry wound. Fleet Commander Tavik stood before them, trying to explain what his ship had detected. He spoke with confidence, but his hands were shaking behind his back. "It could be automated systems," he said. "Old machines coming back online by accident. There is no proof that humans are actually alive." Elder Morath raised one thin hand. The room went silent. Morath was the oldest living Corvin. He had been alive during the human wars. He still carried scars from those terrible days. "I was there," Morath said. His voice was dry like dead leaves. "I saw what humans could do. I watched them destroy a fleet of 10,000 ships in a single hour. I saw their weapons tear holes in space itself. We did not win that war, Commander. They let us live. They chose to sleep instead of finishing us. And now they are awake." The council members looked at each other with worried eyes. Nobody spoke. "We must act," Morath continued. "Send a war fleet to the Sol system. Discover what is happening. And if the humans are truly awake, destroy them before they grow strong." Tavik bowed his head. "It will be done, Elder." On Earth, more humans were waking every hour. The underground city beneath Sol was coming to life. Lights turned on. Machines hummed. Voices filled the empty halls for the first time in 10,000 years. June stood in the central command room, watching screens filled with information. Hana and Tai worked beside him. They had found thousands of sleepers in this facility alone, and there were hundreds of facilities across the planet. "How many of us are there?" June asked. Tai checked his calculations. "At least 2 million in this network. Perhaps more in other locations. Our ancestors planned well." Hana was studying a different screen. Her face was serious. "They planned for war," she said. "Look at this. The archives. Every weapon we ever built. Every ship. Every strategy. It is all here, waiting for us." June walked to her station and looked at the data. What he saw made his heart heavy. His ancestors had not just preserved their knowledge. They had built new weapons while sleeping. Automated factories on Mars had been working for 10,000 years, building ships and weapons that nobody had ever seen before. "We could destroy them," Hana said quietly. "The Corvins, the whole empire. We have the power." "That is what our ancestors were afraid of," June replied. "They did not want us to become destroyers. They wanted us to become something better." Tai joined them, holding a data pad. "There is more. The stasis changed us. 10,000 years of slow cellular regeneration has altered human DNA. We are stronger now, faster. Our brains process information at rates that should be impossible. We are not the same species that went to sleep." June looked at his own hands. They looked the same as before, but he could feel the difference. His thoughts were clearer. His reactions were quicker. He could read the data on the screens faster than he ever could before. "What have we become?" he wondered aloud. A woman named Sua entered the room. She was a geneticist, one of the first specialists to wake. Her eyes were bright with excitement and fear. "You need to see this," she said. "The orbital defense grid, it is coming online." They followed her to another room filled with massive screens. A map of the solar system floated in the air before them. Thousands of red dots were appearing around every planet. Defense satellites, weapons platforms, ships that had been sleeping among the asteroids. And there was more. The moon was changing. Its surface was cracking open, revealing metal structures beneath the rock. The moon was not just a moon. It was a weapon. The biggest weapon humanity had ever built. "They built all this before the sleep?" Hana asked in amazement. "They knew we would need it when we woke," Tai said. "They knew the galaxy would not welcome us back." June felt a cold weight in his chest. His ancestors had prepared for war. They had given him the tools to win. But they had also left him a choice. What kind of humanity would he build? Before he could think more, an alarm sounded. Sua checked the sensors and went pale. "Ships," she said. "Corvin war fleet. They are entering the Sol system." June stepped forward. "How many?" 300. Heavy warships. They are heading straight for Earth." Hana's hand went to her side, as if reaching for a weapon that was not there. "They want to destroy us while we are weak." "We are not weak," Tai said. "The defense grid is online. The silent engines are running. We could destroy their fleet in seconds." June shook his head. "No, not yet. We do not start this with blood." He turned to Sua. "Can we send them a message?" "Yes. All communication systems are operational." "Then send this." June took a deep breath. He thought about his ancestors. He thought about the choice they had made 10,000 years ago. He thought about the future he wanted to build. "This is Earth," he said clearly. "We remember you. Turn back." The message flew across space at the speed of light. It reached the Corvin fleet in minutes. On the bridge of the flagship, Commander Tavik listened to the human voice with disbelief. "They are bluffing," he said. "A dead world does not make threats." But his sensor officer was staring at his screen with wide eyes. "Commander, you need to see this. The moon. It is..." Opening! Tavik looked at the image and felt his blood run cold. The lunar surface was peeling back like the skin of a fruit. Underneath was pure metal, pure machinery, pure power. "What is that?" Tavik whispered. Nobody could answer him. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. The weapon beneath the moon was older than the Corvan Empire itself. It was a relic of a species that had chosen to sleep rather than use it. On Earth, June watched the Corvan fleet slow down. They had received his message. They had seen the moon. They were afraid. Good, he thought. Fear is better than death. Let them be afraid. Let them go home. Let this end without war. But deep in his heart, he knew it would not be that simple. The galaxy had forgotten humanity for 10,000 years. They would not accept humanity's return so easily. This was just the beginning. Hana stood beside him, watching the stars. "They will come back," she said, "with more ships, more weapons." "I know," June replied. "What will we do then?" June looked at the screens, at the waking humans, at the weapons they had inherited, at the power they now held. "We will show them," he said, "that humanity is not what they remember. We will show them something new." Hana nodded slowly. She did not fully believe him, but she wanted to. And for now, that was enough. The fleet was turning. The Corvans were retreating. Earth had won its first battle without firing a single shot. But the war had only just begun. When Earth's silent engines stirred, Part 3. Commander Tavik returned to the Corvan homeworld in shame. He had taken 300 warships to Earth. He had brought them all back without firing a single shot. The High Council was not pleased. "You ran from ghosts," Elder Morath said coldly. "You saw machines and fled like a child." Tavik stood straight, trying to keep his dignity. "Elder, you did not see what I saw. The moon itself opened. Their defense grid could have destroyed us in moments. I saved my fleet. You showed them we are afraid." Morath stood up slowly, his old bones creaking. "And now they know. Now they will grow bold. Every day they wake more sleepers. Every day their power grows. We should have struck when we had the chance." The council argued for hours. Some wanted to attack immediately. Others wanted to wait and watch. A few even suggested making peace with the humans. Morath silenced them all. "There can be no peace with humans. They are too dangerous, too unpredictable. 10,000 years ago, they nearly destroyed us. We cannot give them time to grow strong again." He turned to face the full council. "Send everything, every ship, every soldier, every weapon we have. Call on all 12 species. We will end this before it truly begins." The order went out across the galaxy. The greatest fleet in history began to gather. 50,000 warships from 12 species, millions of soldiers, enough firepower to burn planets to ash. On Earth, June watched the news with heavy eyes. Scouts and satellites showed him everything. The Corvan Empire was mobilizing for total war. "They are not coming to talk," Hana said. She stood beside him in the command center, surrounded by screens showing fleet movements. "They are coming to wipe us out." "We expected this," Tay replied. He was working on a terminal running numbers. "Our defenses are ready. The silent engines are at full power. We can destroy their fleet." "And then what?" June asked quietly. "We destroy them, they rebuild, they come again. We destroy them again. The cycle never ends. We become exactly what our ancestors feared." A new voice joined the conversation. "Perhaps there is another way." It was Nari, a woman who had just awakened a few days ago. She had been a diplomat before the sleep. Her specialty was making enemies into friends. "The Corvan Empire is not one species," Nari continued. "It is 12, and not all of them are happy under Corvan rule. I have been studying their communications. 3 species, the Valani, the Osric, And the Murai have been treated as servants for centuries. They might welcome a change. June looked at her with interest. You think they might join us? I think they might listen. If we offer them something the Corvins never did. Respect, equality, freedom. It was a small hope, but it was something. June nodded. Try. Open communications with them. See if they will talk. While Nari worked on diplomacy, a man named Sung joined the military planning. He was a tactical genius who had studied war his entire life before the sleep. His mind worked like a machine, seeing patterns and possibilities that others missed. We cannot just defend, Sung said, looking at the maps. Defense is slow death. We need to show them something that makes war unthinkable. Something that breaks their will to fight. What do you suggest? Hana asked. Sung smiled grimly. The World Breaker. The room went silent. Everyone knew what the World Breaker was. It was humanity's darkest weapon, a ship-sized machine that could destroy entire planets. It had been built during the war but never used. Even at their most desperate, humans had refused to fire it. No, June said firmly, we are not using that. Ever. I am not saying we fire it, Sung replied. I am saying we show it to them. Let them see what we could do. Let them understand that we are choosing not to destroy them. That changes everything. Tay looked uncomfortable. The World Breaker has been in storage for 10,000 years. I am not even sure it still works. Then check, Sung said. We may need it. As the humans prepared, something else was happening, something they did not expect. Hana was searching the archives, looking for any advantage they might have missed. She found old records from the days before the sleep. Most were military reports and scientific data. But one file was different. It was marked with a red warning. Project Exodus, classified. She opened it and began to read. Her face grew pale. June, she called. You need to see this. June came to her station and read the file. His heart sank. Not all humans had agreed with the sleep decision. A group had refused to accept it. They believed humanity should fight, should win, should rule. When the majority chose to sleep, this group took their own ships and left Earth. They flew to the edge of the galaxy, beyond the reach of any empire. They called themselves the Outer Kin. They have been out there for 10,000 years, Hana said. Building, growing, waiting. Waiting for what? Before Hana could answer, the communication system came alive. A new signal was reaching Earth. It was coming from beyond the galactic rim. June accepted the transmission. A face appeared on the screen. It was a human face, but there was something wrong with it. The eyes were cold and empty. The smile was cruel. Brother, the man said, my name is Day. I am the leader of the Outer Kin. We have been watching you wake. We have been waiting for this moment for 10,000 years. June felt a chill run down his spine. What do you want? The same thing you want, to see humanity rise again. But we will not make the same mistake our ancestors made. We will not sleep. We will not hide. We will burn every species that ever threatened our kind, and you will join us. No, June said. We will not. Day's smile faded. Then you will watch. When the war begins, we will come. We will take what you will not. And when the galaxy is ashes, you will understand. Humanity must rule. There is no other way. The transmission ended. The screen went dark. June stood in silence. The war with the Corvin Empire was coming. But now he knew there was another war waiting behind it. A war within humanity itself. Hana put her hand on his shoulder. What do we do? June looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Outer Kin were waiting. Somewhere out there, 50,000 Corvin ships were gathering, and on Earth, millions of humans were waking to a galaxy that wanted them dead. We do what our ancestors wanted us to do, June said slowly. We choose to be better, no matter what it costs us. It was easy to say. Much harder to do, but June was going to try. Because if he failed, humanity would become the monsters that everyone feared. And that was something he could not allow. The gathering storm was almost here. Soon, Earth would have to face it, and the whole galaxy would learn what humanity had truly become. When Earth's silent engines stirred. Part 4. The galaxy was choosing sides. Every species, every world, every leader had to decide. Stand with the old empire or take a chance on the humans who had returned from the dead. The Corvin coalition grew larger every day. 50,000 warships became 60,000, then 70. Elder Morath called it the greatest gathering of power in galactic history. He promised that when it reached the Sol system, nothing would remain of Earth but dust. But not everyone wanted to join his crusade. On a small moon orbiting a gas giant, representatives from 3 species met in secret. The Villani, the Osric, and the Murai had served the Corvin Empire for centuries. They had no love for their masters. When Nari's message reached them, they listened. The humans offer us freedom, the Villani ambassador said. She was tall and thin, with silver skin that shimmered in the low light. They offer us equality. The humans are dangerous, the Osric leader replied. He was short and wide, built like a stone. Our ancestors fought them in the old war. They nearly destroyed everything. That was 10,000 years ago, the Murai elder said softly. She was old, with feathers instead of hair. The humans who slept chose peace over victory. Perhaps they have changed. They argued for hours. In the end, they made a decision. They would not join the coalition. They would wait and watch. And if the humans proved trustworthy, they would help. It was not a full alliance, but it was a beginning. On Earth, June worked harder than he had ever worked in his life. There was so much to do. Millions of humans needed to wake. Defense systems needed to be tested. Supplies needed to be gathered. And every day the coalition fleet grew closer. He barely slept. When he closed his eyes, he saw 2 faces. Elder Morath with his cold hatred, and Day with his empty smile. One enemy in front, one enemy behind, and humanity caught in the middle. You need to rest, Hana told him one night. She found him staring at the stars through a window in the command center. You are no good to us dead. I rest when I can, June replied. There is too much to do. Then let others do it. You are not alone. June turned to face her. I never asked for this. I was a historian. I studied the past. I did not want to build the future. Hana nodded slowly. I know. But our ancestors chose you. They built these systems to wake certain people first. Leaders, thinkers, builders. They believed you could do this. What if they were wrong? Then we fail. But at least we fail trying. Hana smiled slightly. That is more than most species can say. June almost smiled back. Almost. In another part of the base, Tay was working on the World Breaker. He had found the ancient weapon in a hidden vault beneath the Antarctic ice. It was larger than he expected, more powerful than he imagined. The numbers on his screens were almost impossible to believe. One shot, he whispered to himself. One shot could destroy a planet, could tear a hole in space, could end a species forever. He understood why June did not want to use it. But he also understood why Sung wanted it ready. Sometimes the only way to prevent war was to show your enemy that they could not win. The World Breaker was the ultimate threat, a weapon so terrible that no one would dare provoke it. Tay worked carefully, running tests, checking systems. The weapon was old, but it still worked. If they needed it, it would be ready. He hoped they would never need it. Meanwhile, Sung was building Earth's defense strategy. His mind moved like lightning, seeing threats before they appeared, planning responses before they were needed. "The coalition will attack from 3 directions," he told his officers. "Main fleet from the galactic north, support fleet from the east, reserve fleet from the south. They think numbers will overwhelm us." "Will they?" a young officer asked. Sung smiled coldly. "They have 70,000 ships. We have the silent engines. We have the lunar weapon platform. We have technology they cannot understand. Numbers mean nothing when one shot can destroy 1,000 ships." But even Sung was worried about the outer kin. Day had not contacted them again, but scouts reported movement at the edge of the galaxy, ships gathering, forces mobilizing. When the war started, the outer kin would come, and they would not care who they destroyed. Nari worked on diplomacy, trying to build bridges with anyone who would listen. The 3 rebel species promised to stay neutral. A few independent worlds agreed to provide supplies. It was not much, but it was something. "We need more time," she told June. "If we can delay the coalition attack, we can wake more sleepers, build more alliances, show the galaxy that we are not threats." "The coalition will not wait," June replied. "They are afraid. Afraid species do not think clearly. They will attack as soon as they can." He was right. 3 days later, the coalition fleet began its final approach to the Sol system. 70,000 warships moved through space like a wave of fire. Every sensor on Earth screamed warnings. June gathered his people in the command center. Hana stood at his right, Tai at his left. Sung handled the tactical screens. Nari monitored communications. Sua watched the biological sensors. "This is it," June said quietly. "They are coming." "Orders?" Hana asked. June looked at the approaching fleet. So many ships, so much firepower. If they attacked, millions would die, on both sides. "We defend," he said. "We do not attack first. We give them every chance to stop." "And if they don't stop?" Sung asked. June's jaw tightened. "Then we show them why they should have." The coalition fleet crossed into the Sol system. Elder Morath broadcast his message to Earth: "Surrender or be erased." Before June could respond, space itself seemed to tear open behind the coalition fleet. Ships poured through the rift, thousands of them. Human ships, outer kin ships. Day's face appeared on every screen. "Brother," he said to June, "I told you we would come. Now watch. Watch as we burn the galaxy together." The outer kin attacked, but they did not attack Earth. They attacked the coalition fleet from behind. Chaos erupted. Coalition ships burned. Explosions lit up the darkness of space. But the outer kin did not care about targets. They fired on everyone. Coalition ships, neutral ships, even the ships from the 3 rebel species who had promised to stay out of the fight. June watched in horror. "They are killing everyone." "They are monsters," Hana said. "They spent 10,000 years becoming exactly what our ancestors feared." June made his decision in an instant. It was the hardest choice of his life, but it was the only choice he could make. "All forces," he ordered, "defend the coalition fleet." The command center went silent. Everyone stared at him. "Sir?" Sung asked carefully. "They came here to destroy us, and the outer kin are destroying them. If we let that happen, we are no better than Day. We are no better than the monsters." June's voice was firm. "Our ancestors slept so we could become something new, something better. This is how we prove it. We protect our enemies from themselves." For a moment, no one moved. Then Hana nodded. "You heard him. All forces engage the outer kin. Defend the coalition." Earth's forces moved. The silent engines fired for the first time in 10,000 years. Not at the Corvan Empire, not at their old enemies, but at the humans who had become everything they feared. The galaxy watched in shock. Humanity was fighting humanity. And they were doing it to save the species who had come to destroy them. Everything was about to change. When Earth's silent engines stirred. Part 5. Space burned. The Sol system had become a battlefield unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 3 fleets fought in the darkness between worlds. The Corvan Coalition, the Outer Kin, and Earth's defenders, fighting not for conquest, but for something no one expected. June watched the chaos from the command center. His orders had shocked everyone. Defend the Coalition, protect their enemies. It made no sense to the Corvans. It made no sense to the Outer Kin, but it made sense to him. The silent engines fired again and again. Massive beams of energy cut through Outer Kin ships like sunlight through morning fog. The lunar weapon platform unleashed destruction on a scale the galaxy had never witnessed. But every shot was aimed at Day's forces. Every weapon defended those who had come to destroy Earth. Elder Morath stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching in confusion. Human weapons were destroying human ships. Human technology was saving Corvan lives. "What are they doing?" he asked no one in particular. A young officer answered nervously. "They are protecting us, Elder." Morath could not understand it. 10,000 years of hatred told him it was a trick, but his eyes told him something else. Ships were dying to save his fleet. Humans were dying to save Corvans. On the Outer Kin flagship, Day was screaming orders. His plan was falling apart. He had expected Earth to join him. He had expected the Coalition to crumble before the combined human assault. Instead, his own kind was fighting against him. "Traitors!" he shouted. "They are all traitors! Focus all fire on Earth! Destroy them first!" His ships turned toward Earth. But before they could fire, a smaller vessel cut through the battle toward his flagship. It was a boarding craft, and inside, it was Hana. June had not wanted her to go, but she had insisted. "Day will not stop," she had told him. "His hatred is too deep. Someone has to end this. Let me try." Now she was cutting through Day's ship, fighting her way to the command center. The Outer Kin soldiers she faced were fast and strong, just like her. 10,000 years had changed them all. But Hana was fighting for something bigger than revenge. That gave her strength they did not have. She found Day on his bridge, surrounded by dead crew members who had tried to stop her. He turned to face her, his cold eyes showing no fear. "You came to kill me," he said. "Good. At least you have some human spirit left." "I came to ask you to stop," Hana replied. "It doesn't have to be this way. We are the same species. We should be together." Day laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Together? Your people slept while we suffered. 10,000 years wandering the void, starving, dying, becoming hard enough to survive. And you want us to forget that? To forgive?" "Yes," Hana said simply. "That is exactly what I want." Day's face twisted with rage. "Then you are a fool." He drew his weapon and fired. Hana was faster. 10,000 years of evolution. 10,000 years of sleeping muscles growing strong in the deep freeze. She moved without thinking and struck him down before he could take a second shot. Day fell. His eyes were wide with surprise. "How?" he whispered. Hana stood over him, feeling nothing but sadness. "You spent 10,000 years learning to hate. We spent 10,000 years learning to hope. Hope is stronger." Day died with confusion on his face. He had never understood. He never would. With their leader gone, the Outer Kin fleet fell into chaos. Some ships surrendered. Others tried to flee into deep space. A few fought to the death, too full of hatred to stop. But the battle was over. Earth had won. Elder Morath ordered the Coalition to stand down. His fleet was damaged, but alive. Thousands of his people had been saved by the very species they had come to destroy. He did not know what to feel: shame, gratitude, confusion. They were all mixed together in his ancient heart. He asked to speak with the leader of Earth. June agreed. They met on a neutral station between the fleets. 2 leaders, 2 species, 10,000 years of history between them. Morath spoke first. I do not understand you. I know, June replied. We came to destroy you. We would have killed every human on Earth. And you saved us. Why? June thought carefully before answering. 10,000 years ago, my ancestors made a choice. They saw what humanity was becoming. Conquerors, destroyers, monsters. They were afraid of themselves more than they were afraid of you. So they slept. They hoped that time would change us, that we would wake up better than we were. And are you? Morath asked. I do not know, but I know we are trying. We could have destroyed your fleet. We could have burned your homeworlds. We have the power. We always had the power. But power is not the same as right. Our ancestors understood that, and now, so do we. Morath was silent for a long moment. Then he did something he had never done in his long life. He bowed to a human. Perhaps, he said slowly, we have been wrong about your kind. June bowed in return. Perhaps we have all been wrong about each other. But that can change, if we let it. The war ended that day. The Corvin Coalition disbanded. The 12 elder species went home to think about what they had seen. The 3 rebel species, the Villani, the Osric, and the Murai, came out of hiding and offered friendship to Earth. Nari built something new from the ashes of the old. She called it the Galactic Compact. Not an empire, not a coalition. A partnership of equals. Earth was a founding member, but not a ruler. Every species had a voice. Every world had a choice. Tay personally destroyed the World Breaker. He took it apart piece by piece, making sure it could never be used. Some weapons should never exist, he told June. Our ancestors built it because they were afraid. We do not need to be afraid anymore. Sua continued her research into human evolution. What she found was strange and wonderful. Humanity was still changing, still growing. The stasis had not ended their development. It had only paused it. What they would become, even she could not say. We are not finished, she told June. We are still becoming. That is the most human thing of all. Sung retired from military planning. There were no more wars to fight. He spent his days teaching young humans about strategy and history. War should be studied, he told his students, so we can learn how to avoid it. Hana returned to Earth with a heavy heart. She had killed Day. She had ended the outer kin threat, but she did not feel like a hero. She felt tired and sad. So many dead. So much hate. All of it pointless. June found her in the ruins of Old Seoul, sitting on a broken wall, watching the sunset. The city was slowly being rebuilt. Humans were coming home to a world that had slept as long as they had. Are you okay? He asked. No, she said honestly. But I will be. Eventually. He sat beside her. You saved us. You know that. I killed my own kind. That is not something to celebrate. No, but it was necessary. Day would not have stopped. The outer kin would have burned everything. You did what had to be done. Hana nodded slowly. She knew he was right. It did not make her feel better, but it helped a little. They sat together in silence, watching the sun sink below the horizon. The sky turned orange, then red, then purple. Stars began to appear, one by one. What happens now? Hana asked. June looked at the stars, at the galaxy that had feared humanity for so long, at the future that was finally beginning. Now we do what our ancestors hoped we would do. We build, we grow, we make friends. We become part of something bigger than ourselves, not conquerors, not destroyers, just neighbors. Hana almost smiled. That sounds nice. It does, June agreed. The silent engines had stirred. The galaxy had trembled in fear. But when the dust settled and the fires died, something new was born. Not an empire, not a war, just hope. small and fragile, but real. Humanity had returned, not as monsters, not as conquerors, but as something their ancestors had dreamed of, something the galaxy had never expected, something better. The stars shined down on Earth. For the first time in 10,000 years, they did not shine on a sleeping world. They shined on a waking one, a living one, a hopeful one. And the galaxy, for the first time in 10,000 years, did not tremble in fear. It breathed in hope.